my name is Tori, this is Nova Life, and welcome back to my channel. Today I have another romance recommendations video where I'm going to be talking about some enemies to lovers romances. I know a lot of people love enemies to lovers. I've recently read some good ones, so I thought I would throw them all together in a romance recommendations video for you. A couple months ago, I did an enemies to lovers romance recommendations video, so I'll link that in the cards in the description box below if you missed it and you want more, but I think I have 6 to share with you. And before we dive into the recommendations, I want to thank the sponsor of today's video, and that is Max Monroe. So Max Monroe recently had a new release, which is called Best Frenemies. And I mean, if you can tell from the title, it's literally enemies to lovers. It's a workplace romance. They are both teachers at a private elementary school. When they started working together 5 years ago, they just did not hit it off. So like since then, for the last 5 years, they just haven't gotten along. They try and stay clear of each other. It's just how it works. Now, when these two characters go on vacation, they think that they're actually going to an Airbnb, basically. It's called something else in the book, but they go to an Airbnb where they think they have the whole house to themselves. Well, come to find out that they double booked the Airbnb. The Airbnb refunded the money, but now they're stuck together. I mean, they want a free vacation because they got their money back, but they're like, can we make it work in this little rental? Like, can we stick it out together? Can we actually like be in each other's company without killing each other? So it is forced proximity, only one bed, which is a trope that makes enemies to lovers so much better. There is just hilarious dialogue between the characters and pretty much a lot of the other side characters too, which I really love in a romance. I feel like it just, you know, when you can laugh out loud when you're reading a romance, it just makes it better, you know what I mean? As well as forced proximity, it is a road trip romance. If you have not picked up anything by Max Monroe, definitely pick up this one. You can read it as a standalone. You do see some characters from the previous book, which I think is Accidental Attachment, but you can read it completely as a standalone. If you're looking for a really good enemies to lovers, pick up Best Frenemies by Max Monroe. They are a duo, if I didn't say that. Let me know in the comments down below if you've read it and how you felt about it. I would love to know. Once again, thank you to Max Monroe for sponsoring this video. So let's just dive into the rest of the romance recommendations that I have for you. The first book I want to talk about is Treacherous by Chloe Walsh. So this is the first book in the Carter Kids series. So if you have been around on my channel for a while and watched some of my videos, you know the Boys of Toman series by Chloe Walsh is one of my all-time favorite series. The next book is coming out next year. I think it's a different couple, which I'm super excited for. But I wanted to dive into more of Chloe Walsh's backlist. So I picked up the Carter Kids. The first 3 audiobooks are on my Hoopla. Now, this is a 6-book series. The first 4 books follow the same couple, and the last 2 books, or books 5 and 6, follows a different couple that you see throughout the first 4 books. This is like a borderline enemies to lovers, hate to love. When these 2 characters first meet, they get into it. I literally mean they get into it hardcore. They have like a moment in the beginning of the book where they meet each other, they meet eyes. She's out in her yard, he's coming out of his house. Like, she's 17, he's 18, they're in their last year of high school. They have like a moment, right? A cute little moment where they think they have a connection, and then that's broken. And since then, it's just this back and forth. The whole book is just this back and forth. I hate you, but I'm starting to feel something for you. And I want to like punch you in the face, but like I'm starting to feel something for you. It's very interesting, and I really, really enjoyed it. Chloe Walsh can write tension unlike any author. I don't know what it is. It's just like when you meet these 2 characters, you can tell that there's something there underneath, but there's, you know, his stepsister that is her biggest rival in school. She is just constantly picking on her, which means she automatically hates our main male character. And it is just an all-around good time. I will say that the female character is Irish. She comes from Ireland to the United States to stay with her uncle, and that's how she meets Noah. And Noah is this underground fighter. He has a very tortured past. He is a tortured hero on the inside, but I absolutely love him. Love him. Now, this book does end on a cliffhanger, so make sure you know that. You're going to want to continue to the next book, I'll just tell you that. But it is a very, very good enemies to lovers book that I really enjoyed. The next one is one that I recently read for a reading vlog for you guys, and that's Heavenly Bodies by Imani Iru. I think I'm pronouncing her last name right. If not, please let me know in the comments down below so I can pronounce it correctly. Now, I read this, like I said, for a reading vlog where I was reading some of you guys' favorite fantasy romances, and I was just reading until I found a 5-star read with some of the recommendations that you guys gave me, and I was honestly blown away by how much I loved this book. This is a fantasy romance that is the perfect blend of fantasy and romance, and the enemies to lovers part comes in is because our female character, she is basically a refugee from her own kingdom. Her parents are killed by this person that wants to take over their kingdom, and she seeks refuge in our hero's kingdom. Now, when she goes there, she is of this whole impression that he has done all of these bad things to her people, have killed them, have gone through villages on the outskirts of her kingdom and just burned down everything. So she immediately meets him and immediately just does not like him. Now, he is tasked to train her to get her magical powers, which is called the 3. She has the 3. Just means that she has 3 different magical powers, and he does as well, but they're different from hers. So hers, she hasn't had any like training, so he's gonna help her. Now that is when the whole romance starts. They're forced together in that way. They're supposed to work together. She wants to grow her magical powers. She wants to be proficient in them, and she knows that he is literally the one person that can help her because she can't go anywhere else. She's literally a refugee. People don't know that she's still alive. She's trying to keep it a secret. And the romance that comes out of this book is absolutely amazing. It is like soulmates, epic romance. It was an absolute perfect 5-star read for me. I really, really enjoyed it. Now, I do know some people don't like this book. I've read some of the reviews on Goodreads. I just went into it with no expectations, and I was really blown away. There's one other book that I say that is a perfect blend of fantasy and romance, and this is the second book that I can say that about. So definitely pick up this if you want that enemies to lovers. I hate you right off the bat because of what you did to my people. They are a prince and a princess basically coming into their own of a king and a queen of different kingdoms. It is amazing. It is really, really good. I cannot believe that was a debut book. The next one I have is For the Fans by Nyla K. So I want to say that this is like borderline hate to love, enemies to lovers. There's a lot that happens. So this is an MM romance, and they are stepbrothers. You see from the age of 16 when they are forced to move in together that they just dislike each other. Like they just are two complete opposites. One character is like a football player, big jock, popular guy. The other one is like, I keep to myself, more of like an artistic person. So they just don't get along. And when they're forced to move in, you see them at 17, you see them at 18. When they're supposed to go off to college, they think that they're going to go off to separate colleges. But then one of the main male characters is like, no, I'm going to go to the same college as him. So they're forced to be on the same campus. And I think it's in their sophomore year, maybe their junior year, you see one of them like star football player, he's doing his best, trying to get into the NFL, all of these things. And then you see the other character, he's made his own friends and he's doing his own thing. And then all of a sudden their parents completely lose all of their money, which means they cannot pay for their college anymore. So they are tasked with coming up with all of this money. So one of the characters is like, I have this friend who does an OnlyFans. I'm going to start one because he kind of had a thing on her OnlyFans, if that makes sense, and got this traction. So he's like, I guess I'm going to run with it. Like, you can make so much money. Like, his friend is making buku amounts of money. And so he picks it up, does it. So then his stepbrother, the football player, comes in to have like a cameo appearance with him and his friend on OnlyFans. And he's like, oh, you can make a lot of money. He realized how much money he can make off of this. So then they decide to do it together. They hide their faces pretty much, like not many people know who they are. It is a very long book, I will tell you this, but the development from enemies to lovers is so good. Like, it was a book that kept me hooked. I read it because my patrons picked it for me, and I was so happy that they did, because now I'm like really intrigued with some of Nyla K's other books that are similar to this. Yes, it's taboo because they're technically stepbrothers. They were 16 by the time they moved in, so it's like taboo, but like, I read a lot of taboo romances, and that's not the most taboo that I've ever read. So I would highly suggest picking this one up. That enemies to lovers dynamic does come out in the OnlyFans, which I personally love. I think it takes it to the next level. So good. Would highly recommend this one. The next one I have is One Touch by Lena Hendricks. So this is the second book in this series. You can read them as a standalone. We do see these characters in the first book because Lena Hendricks kind of sets up what the next book is. But basically, our female character, she comes back home after she realizes the person that I think it's her grandmother, needs like a house update, like all this stuff rebuilt, right? And she comes home, and that's when she realizes that she's supposed to work with our main male character, who is someone she has very much disliked for most of her life, and he's just like, I guess we're gonna work together. What makes this interesting is that she does this whole like social media thing where she's like, oh, we're gonna rebuild this house and like take room by room. Basically, it's like one of those like HGTV kind of shows, but online. It reminds me of like Chip and Joanna Gaines, but like not being married yet, but their banter is really, really good. I really liked it. I like that they're forced to work together. I like that they're forced in the same room, literally to work together. They're forced to do like all of these different things. I really liked it because that one touch title definitely comes into play when they're forced in the same room and they touch each other and she's like, why do I feel these things I do, but I hate him? Like, what is going on? It is a really good book. I would suggest reading them in order. That's just because I like to read things in order, but you could totally read this as a standalone if you want to. The last book I want to talk about is The Wildest Dreams Duet by Gianna Darling. This is the Eternal Embers special edition. So this is a duet, and I wanted to throw this one out there because while this is super taboo, it is a Guardian Ward romance, which I know this is not going to be for everyone, but I personally really enjoyed it. I think Gianna wrote this enemies to lovers Guardian Ward romance really well. Like I said, it's a duet. It's very thick. Gianna writes very long books, if you know. But this one I wanted to throw out there in case you haven't read it, but you're looking for something a little on the darker side with a little bit of organized crime, but with the Gianna Darling taboo-ness. Definitely check out this one. So like I said, our main male character, he is a lot older than her, so it's age gap. He is actually dating her mother. Well, then comes to find out her mom passes away and she is left with her younger brother who suffers from seizures. I don't think it's actually said what his diagnosis is, but it's basically like epilepsy. He has seizures randomly. And he, our main male character, is taking the two in. He has his own reasons, okay? I don't want to spoil anything, but he does have his own reasons. So they're forced in the same house. She is pushing back at every chance she can get because she's like, no, I don't want this. No, I don't want to do that. No, I don't want you to do this. Like, I know I don't want to be here. No, I don't want to do this. But she starts feeling something for him. She starts uncovering kind of like this tortured past that he has. And she's like, oh, maybe I do feel bad for him. I liked it. It was a good enemies to lovers taboo romance where they're forced together. It's a little bit of organized crime aspect. So if you're looking for that, definitely check out this one. But those are all the enemies to lovers romance recommendations I have to share with you. Once again, I want to thank the sponsor of this video, which is Max Monroe. Thank you so much for sending this book over to me. I would highly suggest you guys check out Best Frenemies if you're looking for like a rom-com-y with amazing dialogue back and forth between the characters, forced proximity, only one bed, a little bit of a road trip, vacation, workplace rivals, enemies to lovers romance. That's a lot, but there's a lot of tropes in this book, so definitely go check it out. But for the emoji for today's video, drop me the like broken heart emoji because I like that one because enemies to lovers, it just, you know, breaks your heart, makes it a little bit more angsty sometimes. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe for more content for me. As always, I hope you're living a novel life, and I will see you in my next one. Bye, guys.